horse drifted alarmingly in the betting was, fancied in the morning, continued to drift. He was late on the exchanges to lose. It was something you'd see in a Dick Francis novel, Charles Buttons.
The ground is soft. It's
heavy.
It's soft on times.
It's heavy.
Okay.
And a very warm welcome to the Bar Stewards Inquiry Sunday Sermon. My name's Lee Keys of systembet.co.uk, and with me, chewing the fat as always, John Lang of John Joe's Blogspot. Good evening, John.
Good evening, Lee.
On this Sabbath. And joining me again is Lorne Malvo from Twitter, a good colleague of mine. Chris, how are you doing?
Very well, thank you. Yourselves?
Yeah, not bad at all. It's been a brilliant weekend of horse racing action that only the BHA could ruin. It's not all the BHA's fault this weekend, of course, and this week, but there's certainly some issues in this podcast that we're going to touch on in a moment. But before we do, myself and John are going to take a look back at yesterday's racing. And John, it was certainly interesting fair yesterday.
Certainly was. I think the 2-year-old picture's a wee bit clearer.
Yeah.
And I thought the York card played out quite nicely as well, considering the state or otherwise of the ground.
Which we'll come on to. We'll come on to that in a bit. Yeah.
Yes. So yeah.
I mean. What, right, so let's. We've got a couple of questions on yesterday, and Carl Swanson's message that says, "Who do you see as the better Guineas prospect? Is it Coroebus or Native Trail, John?"
Oh, Christ. Well, Coroebus chopped my ass off, walked around the front, and then handed it to me yesterday.
Yep.
Basically, because there's no way on earth I would have even been considering running him in that. And he put up a tremendous effort. To do that after looking to really empty out up the hill, he must have a terrific constitution. I mean, he's a bloody big horse and all the rest of it, he's deep-bodied and everything. But I've seen horses like that before go through a 2-year-old season unbeaten and making the Guineas horses. The fact that he's bounced back from what looked a proper thumping to me when he was empty, he could be a hell of a horse. I mean, he's not one I'd care to oppose next time. Put it that way, the way he did that.
No, I mean, for me, I'm sort of opposite view to quite a few. Like Davis wasn't impressed with Native Trail. He says basically that horse could struggle in a big field Guineas. My own view is that I think Native Trail is still superior. The time for me as well sort of suggests that 124 and 4 for the Dewhurst, and that was sort of like nearly 14 seconds quicker than obviously an extra furlong. Well, you wouldn't be running an extra furlong in the Dewhurst in 14 seconds. So Native Trail certainly superior on the clock. I wasn't surprised he come off it either, because I think he's ready for a mile now. If you watch Leopardstown with Native Trail, you'll see also 2 furlongs out, he looks an unlikely winner.
Yeah, it wasn't instant, was it?
Sorry, not Leopardstown, the Curragh. It wasn't an instant pickup. Now I get Davis, says he thinks that could put him in trouble in a Guineas, obviously coming off it, and I'm not so sure. I think as long as the Guineas is well run, which they usually are, I think that'll sort of improve. Yeah, so I'm a big Native Trail fan, despite some reservations on Twitter, because obviously Coroebus looked the more impressive.
I think the good thing about Native Trail as well, I think the second horse confirmed our high opinion of him that we are going into York.
Yes.
I think he picked a pretty good horse up there, coming out the dip.
Yes.
I don't think he went past a sparrow there. He went past something with pretensions to being a bit of an eagle. So
No, because you'd say the third's run his race.
Yeah.
So with the third running his race, and that's got an official rating of 112, you'd safely say that's looking, Native Trails race is looking close to possibly 118 form, that kind of mark.
You're looking at damn near a Guineas winning rating, aren't you? Already.
Yes. My opinion hasn't changed really, and I kind of expected him to come off it coming into the dip, because as well he had nowhere to go as well. He was waiting basically for the Hugo Palmer horse to quicken in front of him. Then Hugo's quickened, Dubawi Legend, and then he had to sort of just play catch up for a few strides. And so I'm not as concerned as, say, Nick or a few others on Twitter that say that Native Trail, it'd be in trouble in a Guineas. So yeah, that's my take on that. Anything else to take your eye yesterday going forwards?
I was pleased with my third best bet of the day.
Well, yeah.
I mean, we had a bit of conflab before that race, didn't we?
We did.
I said to you, we can hand his licence in if this doesn't win. I mean, they were clearly all over it. I mean, it got back into 15-8. And I thought it did it rather well, actually. I think it's probably given him a glimmer of hope for next season.
Yeah.
That he might actually have a runner in a decent race somewhere.
Yeah. I think you called it right. Obviously, you were going head to head with Davis on Baybridge, and I think you come out shining on that one, because I thought it was a cosy win as well. I thought he did very well, John. You agree, don't you, with that?
I think he did it quite nicely. I think Platinum Card probably ran to about 101. I got him 111 for yesterday. I think he's as good as that now. You know?
Yeah, well, like I said, we were surprised by the placing, given that he could have probably turned up anywhere at Newmarket over the last sort of 2 weeks in any sort of either more valuable handicap or even a stakes contest.
I was surprised he haven't roughed him off, to be honest.
Or that, yeah. Or that, yeah. But one to look forward to, I think, next year, John. So a good call there. Just one more question regarding tomorrow, and it's sort of related, from Jack, JCC punter on Twitter. He's worth a follow, is Jack. He talks a lot of sense on racing. And he said the kilt on the face of it in Royal Patronage as one of the best 2-year-olds in training, with some of the most solid form around in the book. Providing he trains on, he's got to be a genuine classic contender. Or will Johnston find a way to Johnston it, John?
Well, if you're looking for anybody to Johnston a horse, Johnston's your good starting point, isn't it? I think the danger with this one is if it is a good horse, and I mean, let's be fair, it looks all right, doesn't it? It's probably going to show him something in the spring, and chances are he'll think, by God, this is fast enough for the Guineas, this. So then he'll probably think, I might just need to have a little prep run here and we could end up turning up in the Craven. I wouldn't be at all surprised to see him win a Craven, because he'd go from the front. And chances are they're all playing jockeys and trying to look after everything. So then Johnston thinks, well, he's a Craven winner, I've got to go to the Guineas. Then, of course, they swamp him in the Guineas. They go past him just at the bottom of the dip. And he finishes about 5th, and Johnston says, well, he needs further now, doesn't he? That's plain to say. And straight away, we're heading to Sandown on Whitbread Day, aren't we?
What would you do with him, John? Would you go Field and Dante Derby, or would you go Dante Derby? What would you do?
He's had enough seasoning now to go to the Derby off one trial. I'd go to the Dante and that'd be it. Yeah.
So you'd just be straight to York, then Epsom.
Yeah, he's had enough. He's had enough racing.
But we can't put it past the kilt to have run 4 times.
If that horse turns up at Epsom, I think there'll be a minimum of 4 runs on the clock already next year.
I think that's it. I think, if he wasn't trained by Johnston, I would be genuinely excited about this horse. Really excited. Yeah. I'd be all over it for Epsom really, and for the I think he's got a proper horse, but there's something about Johnston that just manages to Johnston them. Like you said, John. Yeah. So I hope that answers your question, Jack, and puts you as clear as mud, like we are, in following Mark Johnston runners. We only tend to back Mark Johnston at Beverley and Newmarket with easy leads.
That's about it, isn't it? You know, the occasional Ripon one.
Yeah. So
yeah,
that's all he's good for. Chris, anything from your end on Saturday that you took your eye?
I would agree with your comments regarding Native Trail, because it seems what I hear is that Michael Hills, who rides the second of Palmer's, and Native Trail went by that like it was standing still, genuinely thinks it's a genuine Group 1 horse. So to do what Native Trail did, I think is very impressive, and I'll echo all those comments.
Yeah, good stuff. So we're Native Trail fans in the Bar Stewards camp. We're not unwavered for the Guineas next year. Coroebus. I think Nick Luck talks about the Kentucky Derby for Coroebus. I think that was meant.
Sick.
Yeah, well, there you go. That's what you get for listening to Nick Luck. Right, we're going to move on to the next part of the show, which is obviously discussing the talking points, and it's all about the Great British BHA mess that we seem to be. It's like an ever decreasing, it's a revolving circle. You start at one point and then you think, this isn't too bad. And then it comes back to the old point where you started from, and that's typical of the BHA. And lots of things coming up this week. I don't know what this is all about, but Newmarket on Saturday were refusing cash payments to get in, chaps. I mean, Chris, what's your view on a race course in this day and age, refusing cash payments to get in a course?
Well, it's sort of, I'm trying to be charitable. I'm trying to rack my brains to try and work out why that would be, but it does strike me as being nothing short of insane in the current climate where, there's a whole push to get people through the door and attract new followers to the sport, and they turn up with pound notes and say, you can't come in. Has to be contactless payments. So you have to wonder, you don't have to wonder, you surely must wonder at the competence of the people running the race courses. I just don't get why that would be the case. So for me, it's mad, absolutely mad.
Well, John, surely this is, you go to the races with a bit of cash in your pocket in case you want to visit the bookmakers. This is a lot of race goers anyway. They'll visit the bookies and they'll want to, take some cash off the bookies, John.
They're just blithering fucking idiots, aren't they?
That's the top and bottom of it, isn't it?
Yeah, there's no sense, no reason or anything to this. Is that there's shops the length and breadth of Newmarket High Street taking cash.
Yeah.
You walk to the racecourse, your cash is no good here. Piss off. Just piss off.
Yeah. It's getting to the stage now where you everything that seems to happen in racing, and I think you made a point, John, yesterday on Twitter. You saw, or it was the other day, and you said, basically, it's as if no one gives a damn. They're running it like no one gives an absolute damn about anything.
Don't. They're literally a meandering on, and nobody gives a flying fuck about it.
Well, I think we touched on it a few weeks ago where I said that I'm not convinced that the people that run the sport, and that's not just the BHA, but the people that run race courses, actually believe they are putting on or part of top level elite sport. Because if and it'll obviously touch on other subjects we'll discuss today, they seem to be running it like a cross between a point to point and a gymkhana. It's sort of top level sport, but not really. So it doesn't matter whether the races go off on time or we call the right results on photo finishes. I don't get the sense that they really believe that horse racing is elite sport, because if they did, you wouldn't have half the problems we got now. And I think that's probably.
I'll tell you what it is as well, Chris. It's because not one of these pricks has been on performance-related pay at any point in their lives.
And they don't measure the outcomes of like as you said with the Shergar Cup. Nothing's measured, or at least nothing's no metrics or performance indicator are ever published. So you don't know what the bar is.
Yeah, the only thing you can guarantee after a BHA initiative is somebody's cock's going to get sucked.
That's a great job. That's the performance indicator. You've nailed it. It is bizarre. I don't get the sense that anybody really believes it's elite sport. It's just run as a county show or a gymkhana or a point-to-point. We'll try our best, but if it doesn't work out, well, what do you expect? It's a day at the races, isn't it?
Yeah.
The prevailing attitude is that the entire industry is there to provide employment for people from good families who are too thick to hold down a job in the city. And that's top and bottom of it.
Yeah, fairly accurate. I mean, before we move on to our next BHA debacle, or racecourse debacle, or whatever, just want to clarify, John, that you had a point to make about York's ground.
Yeah.
And you make a very good point. I'll let you start your point.
Right. Well, it goes over the 2 days, really. It was officially soft ground on Friday.
Yeah.
Which I felt the times backed up, really. And then we get to Saturday, and I think it's Miss Moore's head that's in charge of the going forecasts and reports, isn't it, now, rather than William Darby?
Yeah.
She gave an update that it was now good to soft. Yet Saturday's times were considerably worse than Friday's times.
It is a fair point.
So on better ground, mind you, I mean, a stick rating of 5 Point Summit is heavy ground at York anyway. I digress, I mean, that's making a forecast sound cobblers anyway. But when you look at those times, I mean, if that was good to soft, well, I'm going to have a three-way with Mother Teresa and Cliff Richard.
What a mental image that is. One for Jim. One for Jim will paint it that on Twitter. The only thing I could offer a plausible excuse for that is the fact that possibly it was quite a nice day on Saturday, but also like it's this time of year, it's a little bit chilly in the morning, perhaps. Wonder if they got a big heavy dew, and because the ground was opened up Friday, the dew has got in. But I mean, would that make, like you said? I mean, the times are just astronomically slower than the day before, despite a quicker going description. Yeah.
You're talking a very heavy Joe, aren't you? I mean, you're talking.
Well, I can confirm.
You're talking the sort of Joe that Moses was parting the Red Sea for.
We had no overnight rain in York. I can 100% confirm that.
Exactly. So, well, I mean, she's obviously convinced the ground's improved, and the times have basically said bollocks to you, Anthea.
Yeah, but this sort of feedback, nobody ever brings it up, do they? So on they plough. The press don't say, "Oh, guess what? How can you give that good to soft when the times don't back that up?" No one says that. No one brings them to task.
And now you've got a shit farm book for Saturday.
Yeah. I mean, I'd be interested to see some time gurus. Any time gurus listening? What did you make to the ground Saturday? How would you calculate your times based on good to soft ground on Saturday, or to compare to softer ground on Friday with faster times? Get in touch. Get it. We love people getting in touch. Educate the bar stewards.
Well, I just put a note on every race when I went through making my notes and doing my ratings. I just put ground was shit.
It's shit ground. I mean that's as good as it gets, really. Yeah, it's a good explanation as it gets.
I think in these days of overwatering, I think we could add a going description and just loosely term it shit ground.
Yeah. I mean, we often say, John, don't we, about York? It can be a funny track when that ground goes. It's some weird results. Also seem to get beat by furlongs.
It's mad as fuck when it's wet. I mean, Danzigs used to cut through it when it was really, really wet. You know, you could back a Danzig on it. I mean, mental.
Yeah. The Knavesmire. Graham Cunningham loves that word. But us in York, it's York Racecourse. It's not the Knavesmire. Everyone on racing TV needs to tell him that. Anyway, right, we move on to more fun and games that we've had this week, and certainly some belly aching from certain quarters across the realms of Twitter. We're moaning about the Chepstow camera angles. We did touch upon it on Friday, but having witnessed it myself Saturday properly, as you know, when you back a horse and it's a shit horse, and it's out the back of the telly, and you're thinking, well, what's this doing? Is it jumping? What's it doing? And they've literally scrolled into the front two from about 3 out. You can't even see the third, like the sort of 8 lengths further back. And you got no perspective of anything finishing. There's punters obviously that play in other sorts of markets like match bets. It's as if like yet again the punter is just completely for who are we televising this for? You know, the people that bet on the sport want to see where either their match bet is, where their owners, in fact, that might be sat at home, obviously not gone to Chepstow Saturday, and because they know their horse probably needs a run or whatever, they want to see their horse straight. Is it coming home nice? No chance. From 3 out, you won't get to see anything other than the front two, or lucky if you get the third. And it was horrendous. And I'm not going to blame Chepstow Racecourse because somebody put me right today on Twitter saying it's at the races as coverage decision. Well, at the races I'll be like John. I'm fucking for this coverage. It's a disgrace, and it's another stab in the eye for the punter, John.
Somewhere there'll be some piss pot producer who works at the races constructing his own award for this as we speak.
Yeah.
You know, he'll be just getting his name put on the plaque, ready to award himself something, and he'll probably give himself a nosh while he's at it. You know, they driving out racing. In all honesty, I mean, this is just getting stupid. You know, I mean, how can you have a bet and then your horse just disappears out a shot after they've jumped a couple and that's it? He could be doing anything. You know. I never saw my horse that I bet. I bet Grumpy Charlie, which obviously well beaten, tailed off last. But I didn't see my horse jump any on the replays, anything. I don't know if it jumped the last 4, so I can't put in my notes. Where it's blasted through last 2 or 3 or jockey ease right off, because they had never panned out at any point. Just to give you a bit of perspective. And I think it's such bad camera work, real bad camera work. It's the kind of stuff. It'd be like if you did it in football, you'd be scrolling in on the player and the ball, and you just wouldn't get any perspective of what else is happening in the game. Who's running off the ball? It's just awful. And at the races really need to get a grip on this. And do you know what's annoyed me? That it should be talked about this. This should be one of the key talking points. Yeah, at the races really should get a grip and sort this out. Ditch the car, crash the car, smash, get Oisin to drive it on a Friday night and smash it into a wall. Neil Newhorse on Twitter says, anyone else think the speakers in the stands are woefully rubbish, so muffled, and I can't hear the commentary. It's poor for a premium racecourse. I would say they might have got like some Goodman speakers at Chepstow. You know, remember your Goodmans?
Tone or something from Argos. Yeah.
I mean, it's typical, really, of the quality. Like you say, I hate the false hooves and the false crowd noises.
Bloody lot for me.
Yeah.
I think it's so loud if I can hear it.
I mean, I must tell commentary in the betting shop, isn't it, where you could barely hear it, a crackling commentary. Yeah, I go with that. Most of those speakers are rubbish, aren't they? But again, it's not premium sport, because if it was, you'd have a proper PA system, wouldn't you?
Indeed, you would. Exactly that. I mean, this is what it's all about. And I mean, I'll come on to further on that, Chris.
When we go to York, pre-racing and that bloody carry on they have from the parade ring, where they have a couple of arseholes from the Yorkshire Press on, and half a dozen Dixons, if they're there. Previewing the fucking car. Dear God almighty. And there's no escape from it, is there? You need headphones.
6 Dixons.
I mean, Christ.
Yeah. Lee Dixon, Barbara Dixon. Matt.
Doc Green, yeah.
David Nixon, the former magician, because somebody made a typo.
Yeah, Nixon, that was him. Yeah.
Yeah, if you go to a race course these days, you might get Dixon.
You might. You're lucky. Yeah.
Right, next subject that I'm going to bring up is two nice characters in the weighing room and in racing. Oisin Murphy. Any sort of feedback from you guys on what was said? I enjoyed Kevin Blake actually on the opening show. I did feel at least he got stuck in a little bit.
Blakey was probably as harsh as his position allowed him to be.
Yeah.
I felt. I think we can afford to be a fair bit harsher tonight.
Oh yes. I mean, well, the rumours are, the eyewitness reports are that a bloodstock agent, I'm not going to name names, but basically this bloodstock agent minded his own business, and Oisin had completely gone gaga, and basically randomly just glassed him in the face with a plastic glass. I think it cut him. And apparently Oisin was rabid, absolutely all over the place, and it all kicked off as you'd expect.
Yeah.
The bloodstock agent refused to take Oisin's apology.
Yeah.
And said no, you're a fucking arsehole. And it sort of, that's how it ended up. And then
and a nice night was had by all.
Yeah, and as I said, I mean. We're all human beings and we all mess up. But as I think Kevin Blake said, this is now. There's only been 16 offences since the measures were introduced, and Oisin's now got 2 of those 16, and this is a 26-year-old champion jockey.
I don't think I've ever glassed anyone though. I know people say, oh, well, he's not a young lad.
No,
people are so tolerant. He's a man. He's a grown man. Christ, I don't know what you do at 26, but you're grafting. You got a job. You got responsibilities. This is not a kid. This is not some teenager like your man Benoit de la Sayette, whatever his name was. This is a man. And I don't know. He's obviously got a few issues, hasn't he?
Well, I think Paolo Di Canio once when he was describing his Sunderland players, and he went into a tirade about, he goes, if they're 20, he says, he says, I understand they go to clubs, they make mistakes. He says at 30, he says, the brain's gone wrong.
Yeah.
The brain's wired wrong.
In any other environment, without being unkind, and I'm not advocating, he'd get a fucking good hiding, wouldn't he? He's very, very lucky.
Yeah.
That someone hasn't absolutely kicked his head in. Because, whether that's good fortune or whether he's got people around him, but you go to any provincial nightclub and attempt to glass someone, you're going to be pretty lucky not to get your head kicked in. So I just don't understand. This is a champion jockey, a man with the world at his feet and obviously untold riches. He's clearly got some serious character flaws.
Well, let's hope that Monsieur Terry Norman, Oisin's agent, really does get hold of Oisin. And I know Terry doesn't stand for no shit. And I'm sure Terry will spoken to Oisin. But I think the lad needs to take some advice and kick the booze in the head, John. What do you think?
Top jockeys have done this for long enough.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing is now there's breathalyzers. And the point being that they know there's breathalyzers. Now, we had a ride boat on Friday in a Group 1 race.
Yep.
He'd ridden that filly twice. Nobody else had been on it on a race course. They were left casting round for a jockey because he couldn't go without a drink the night before the race.
But it's not just the drink, though. See, if those rumours or that description of events is true, that's just not a couple of Harvey's Bristol creams and early to bed. That sounds like an absolute session, doesn't it? I mean, there's a world away from having a few drinks and going bolo. I don't know.
Well, I put it to you that he shouldn't have even had a glass of wine with his mail the night before. It's a Group 1 race the next day. He's getting paid an enormous amount of money.
It all goes to the heart of is this elite sport, right? All right, football. Forget footballers because they're a different breed. But yeah, could you imagine? I don't know, a top 50 tennis player going on the piss the night before these days. We're not talking about the days of McEnroe and Sterilizers. Could you imagine that? Because I couldn't.
Yeah.
Because they're elite athletes. And that's what we're being told by the press, that these are all elite athletes. Well, I'm not sure that's true.
No, it's not.
Which then brings me to the second part of our wonderful characters. Obviously, Sheikh Mojan. Did the Oisin debacle just stop more publicity regarding Sheikh Mo revelations this week?
I don't think it stopped it because I don't think there's any danger of anybody in the racing media actually tackling this shithouse full on, is there?
No.
I mean, he's a wrong one, isn't he?
Appears that way. I mean, obviously, you're the ruler of Dubai, so basically you've got certain privileges, but hacking your wife's phone and it's
interfering with the judicial process, doesn't he?
Absolutely.
And he doesn't give a flying fuck, and I'll be very interested to see whether Grady Betty gives a flying fuck the next time he offers up a yearling tour for out.
well, if it's a Javawa,
Yeah. I mean, this is it, isn't it? I mean, I'm fussy about who I go racing with. I think I'm probably fussier than her.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's.
And I go racing with some rape bastards.
The ginger Hitler, one of them. Yeah. We all know some wrong ones, but yeah, I mean, this is a real interesting quandary for the media. Again, we're getting all the usual suspects that usually have got a lot to say on certain subjects. Very, very quiet on this one, and this is what we're here to do, and call things out. And obviously, Sheikh Mo is a complete and utterly wrong one, like you say. And
how many Gulf states have you ruled? That's what I want to know.
Exactly that. I mean,
what do you know about running a despotic, tyrannical regime?
I mean, there'll be some here that won't poke the bear because I mean that's what it's all about. That's what life's about. Yeah. You can't poke the bear when you're getting paid off somebody that And
self-interest trumps all, doesn't it? In pretty much any walk of life, lots of corporations are run by horrible people, but I suppose if thousands and thousands of people are relying on employment, they're going to swallow it, aren't they?
But for example, to my knowledge, I mean, look, I'm going on my knowledge. I could be totally wrong, but Prince Khalid, I've got no evidence that he was a right bastard. I've got no evidence that Sheikh Hamdan was a right and utter varmint. Correct me if I'm wrong, but as I said, it's just because of your position or lofty position in a Gulf state, it doesn't give you the.
I think probably of all the brothers, if any of them was going to turn out to be like he has, I think the position that he held initially as the defence minister in like a growing state has probably sculpted him to a certain extent. I'm not making excuses. I think he's a shit, But whereas the others were a little bit more relaxed as they came through, I mean, they didn't have the responsibility weighing on them that he did, As I say, it's not an excuse, He's probably a product of his circumstance a little bit.
Yeah. Two wrong ones, folks. let us know what you think. Should racing be more tough on the ruler of Dubai and basically make some kind of sanctions or punishment? I'm sure if this was a normal owner or a normal trainer or
it's
behaving,
a funny thing, mate, isn't it? I mean, they're bringing in affordability checks. They have this thing where you're classed as a fit and proper person to own horses or whatever, And
yeah.
When did he undergo any checks on his background?
Well, this is it. I mean, for a fact, John, if Sheikh Mo was Johnny Farrelly, right? So Johnny Farrelly's got warned off for life. I'm not going to go into details on that really, but it's a bit unsavoury, and Johnny Farrelly's warned off for life, indefinitely. So basically reviewable in, I think, in 7 years or whatever. Now, Sheikh Mo's probably done worse than Johnny Farrelly. I mean, depends on what your class is, whatever. There's lots of different ways of saying something's worse than something else, but certainly, like you say, Sheikh Mo, no problem. And I think this is where racing suffers, and the media obviously frightened to death of challenging it. I wouldn't be, because no one pays me otherwise to stay silent. Anyway, move on. We've got 2 more topics for the BHA's week of shame. And Jockey Club Racecourses, race off times. Stuart Ackister asks, has a flat race ever gone off on time? Not in the UK, to my knowledge. Not many. Simple reason I can say, Stuart, is you could have a 15-run handicap, and say if it's off at 3:40 or these daft new stupid times 3:37, they'll start loading at 3:37. It's quite bonkers. It's if to say, right, I mean, I have a rule. If there's a lot of runners, you'd start loading at least 3 or 4 minutes before off time, and make sure no horse has stood there for longer than that, ideally. But it's a tough one. What do you guys think on the off times? We've had some ridiculously late starts from Jockey Club Racecourses this week.
Well, best stall handlers in the world, apparently we've got, haven't we? That's what they keep telling us. I mean, I don't know what objective measure they use to gauge that, but you'd think it goes to the point again about elite level sport. If you're running elite level sport, you do everything you can to ensure that the product that you're selling goes off at the appointed time. But the fact that it doesn't, everyone's like, well, whatever, who cares? So it's just the whole sport is marbled with incompetence, isn't it? And a kind of a laissez-faire approach. We'll load these horses when we can be bothered to do it.
Yeah, John, you any thoughts on sort of like Newmarket going off 15 minutes late? I think for a race on Friday, I think they went off 4:55 instead of 4:40 for not really a bad enough reason.
Well, it's maybe come as a bit of a shock to the people that run Newmarket that they've got a straight course. You can't go down the back straight to get to the mile and a quarter start and things like that.
Yeah.
I mean, this is the level of stupidity and incompetence we're dealing with, in all honesty. I mean, all you have to do is get the jockeys up 5 minutes earlier, and then if they're tardy to the start, fine them.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, they're already leaving 35-minute gaps in between races, so it's not like you're shoving the 30-minute rule.
Not necessarily big fails, are they? I mean, there's not a lot of jockeys to wait out. I mean, you should be able to have them out 15 minutes after they've all weighed in for the previous race.
Well, 2 things to me, and this revolves around a question from Brian O'Corkey, and he said, like, basically, why do you get some like 3-mile jumps races running to the back of like 5 furlong sprints and things like that? Again, this is where the Irish authorities and British authorities need to come together to plan the race times effectively and the races effectively. I mean, I'm sick to death of the national season in the winter where they run the chasers when it's a low sun. Well, why doesn't the race course work out when the sun's going to be at its lowest point and run the chasers either after that point or before that point? Absolute bonkers that then we end up having chasers run where we have to doll off half the fences because obviously low sun, they've not worked that out. So you start with the chasers earlier on in the day, so the sun's still at its highest point. All this stuff is not rocket science, and I think this is the annoying thing with them. And coming back to you, Chris, what you said about not run as an elite sport. If you have outriders, like basically when that horse gets loose, it will be caught quickly. It will also keep horses calmer at the start. If you've got 2 or 3 outriders at Newmarket, say, and they can easily afford it, it's not a problem. It creates jobs in the local community and gives retired racehorses something to do, and another job. So again, solving the problem of taking them to Swindon and having them shot. So you've got 3 outriders. All of a sudden, they can, any unruly horse at the start or whatever, that horse can calm that other horse down. I've seen it happen in America regularly. Where a horse is starting to lose its shit, and the outrider comes alongside it, all of a sudden calms the horse down. And this is what it's all about: the experience for the punter, the safety of all the riders, the sport being an enjoyment in terms of getting off on time. And it's a very modest expense for each racecourse who could surely afford this. And I've said it for years. It's a disgrace that we've never had outriders in this country, because everyone's sick to death sometimes are waiting for a start of a race because the horse has done 6 laps of wolves before they can catch it. And it's just so annoying. Everything's run for profit, skimp away. And the sports rulers do not give a flying fig. John.
Spot on. Can't argue any of that.
So we've covered that nicely with race times. It's unacceptable. It's an entertainment industry, and I'm sure Sky Sports punters would be put off if they're tuning in for Liverpool and Chelsea at 4 p.m. on a Sunday and it's going off at 4:18. Anyway,
you're going to miss Coronation Street.
Absolutely, and that's another Corrie for everyone there. We move on to our final talking point, which was on Thursday evening, I believe. I've lost track of days this week. I'm probably wrong. It's probably Wednesday. It could be even Tuesday, knowing me. Yeah, gin nap. But the Kempton photo debacle, where a result was called, Julie Camacho's was given the winner, and then lo and behold, 10 minutes later, the decision was then reversed to become a dead heat. Leave me in here, someone.
Yeah, well, because this just perfectly illustrates the lengths these slithering, shining bastards will go to cover their own asses. The BHA said the amended result showed the systems put in place to prevent incorrect provisional results becoming official was working. A BHA spokesman said an incorrect provisional result was announced. Where the fuck is a provisional result getting announced? What is a provisional result? When does the tannoy say, here is the provisional result of the photo, in case the judge is too pissed to have made up whether the winner has actually won or not? We're sending it for another 5 judges to have a look at it, but for now, this is your provisional result.
It's unbelievable, John. I mean, this is the thing that if this were the first time, you wouldn't be so hard on them, but this is a regular occurrence.
This is an arsehole grabbing the mic, calling the result, and then falling back on the fucking weighed-in announcement as an arse covering, nothing more.
Yeah, a total disgrace. Jeff Banks was once shafted at Ascot with something like this, which he took them to court and won. And as I said, this is the BHA's making. It makes you laugh. We've got technology now that is incredible. Literally, you could spot an arse hair, from outer space. With the technology we've got now, it's immense. I'm sure they could upgrade every single lighting on photo finishes. You could digitalize. I don't know. Take it away from judges even. Make it so a computer decides. And it's like, and that's it. And because obviously humans that the BHA employ, that John's obviously covered in the past, are not capable clearly of just making simple choices. Same in stewards' inquiries.
You were saying there, Lee, about you could spot an arse hair. Well, the BHA spotted an arse hair in the shape of Jane Stickles and made her a judge, didn't they?
The Stickles family, yeah. Chris Stickles, Jane Stickles. Good old Jane, though. She was the king. Queen, I should say. Well, in this day and age, she might be the king. We don't know. But yeah, so, I mean, amazing time. What did you make of it, Chris? Did you?
It's mad. I mean, I agree with John. I've never heard a provisional result being called. I mean, that's lunacy. I mean, people start getting paid out on the judge's announcement, don't they? They don't say, "Oh, wait 10 minutes because we're going to get the real result through." But it happens every other week, without fail. These days, we seem to be getting these, sort of revisions of results, etc. And it shows there's no regard for the punter who funds the sport. No regard at all. It's almost, oh well, so what?
So all Bar Stewards listeners, and I would presume most of you are punters, we're bottom feeders, and this is how we keep getting trapped week in, week out. As Chris rightfully says, a sport that basically is not, it is an elite sport, but it's not run like an elite sport, and that's where the BHA, and I've tagged them in it today, so let's hope Tarquin in the office is listening to this, and you'll get some boots on the ground feedback here, so there we go. Anything to add, gents, on this lively show?
No, I think we've covered it all there, really.
Yeah, I think we've handed them their arse, I think, this week. Right, we've enjoyed it. Myself, Chris, John, we've really enjoyed this show. We're back on Friday. It's me, John, Quentin Franks, and Andy Richmond covering the Champions Day meeting run on 3.9 going at Ascot. No, thankfully, I think we've got some dry weather, so we might actually get Champions Day run on some decent ground. If not, they might have to run it on the chase track, which really upset John one year because he backed heavy ground horse anti-purse, and then they stuffed it right up in by running it on the chase track, John.
Yeah, thanks for reminding me of
that. Stitched him up like a Mullerither.
It was one of the shrewdest moves I've ever made, actually, back in that. I thought, well, I'm in here, it's going to be chest deep. And then they said, nah, fuck yeah, we're going on the chase course.
I know. John's never had much luck with things like that. Right, that's all from us. Have a cracking end to your weekend, and don't lose too much money this week. And we'll see you again on Friday. Bye for now.